Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Satyanarayan from IQ Ideas, bringing you important news updates from a daily newspaper and also interesting articles which you can read for improving your language skills and interesting vocabulary words. Today is the 9th of July 2025, and let's start with the interesting news coverage. As I look at the front page, the biggest news headlines is close to deal with India, says Trump, amid flurry of letters. Now, from the news article, the biggest thing is the expression flurry of letters, which basically means a large volume of letters. So, if a large number of letters are being exchanged, then that's called a flurry of something. Harry Potter fans would well have recalled the flurry of letters which Harry Potter received in his first year when he was living with the Dursleys, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this thing. It says US President Donald Trump on Monday said Washington is close to making a deal with India, even as he announced reciprocal tariffs on more than a dozen countries, including close allies. We have made a deal with the UK, we have made a deal with China, we are close to making a deal with India. Others we met with, and we don't think we'll be able to make a deal. So we just sent them a letter. If you want to play ball, this is what you have to pay. Okay. So to play ball is basically if you want to interact with us, if you want, it's sort of like a game. And if you want to engage with us, so to play ball with somebody is to engage with somebody. Right. So basically, the byline also reads that from the US, 25% to 40% tariffs levied on 14 countries. That's a very interesting update. So 25% to 40% levied on 14 countries. So let's see what tariffs are set between India and US. Uh, Within that article, you have a couple of things. One is a U turn where Trump vows weapons for Ukraine. President Trump said Monday the US would send more weapons to Ukraine, arguing that Moscow's recent assault on Ukrainian cities left him with little choice. Okay, so Trump also takes a vow or promises weapons to Ukraine, and the article uses an expression to make a U-turn. So to take a U-turn is basically to reverse your position on something. You are agreeing on a certain course of action, and then you completely take the reverse stance. So basically, when it says that Trump vows weapons for Ukraine, this could mean that earlier he had refused to do so, and now he's saying he will. And below that, we have another small thing where Bibi nominates Don for Nobel. Israel Prime Minister nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, citing his role in negotiating diplomatic ties between Israel and Arab states in 2020. Okay. At a White House dinner, Netanyahu, so that would be the Israeli PM, Benjamin Netanyahu, presented Trump with a copy of the letter and praised him for forging peace in one country after another. Very interesting. Okay. Below that, we have another update from the BRICS summit. If you remember, BRICS is the coalition of countries Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So basically, BRICS, it rejects the European Union carbon border tax proposal and calls it discriminatory. So let's read this. It says the BRICS nation have rejected the European Union's proposed carbon border tax, calling it unilateral, punitive, and discriminatory protectionist measures. Wow, so many words. Let's take them one by one. Unilateral, one-sided; punitive, something which is punishing in nature; discriminatory, it discriminates against someone; and protectionist, designed to protect one party. Says it is being made under the pretext of environmental concerns, would undermine their capacities to invest in just energy transitions and development priorities. India has long been opposed to such measures and even flagged its concerns during the recent free trade agreement talks with EU. Interesting. Okay. Part of the news is the image below which it says Prime Minister Modi was conferred Brazil's highest civilian award, the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross, by President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Tuesday. Okay, so from this we can just pick up the thing that PM Modi is conferred with Brazil's highest civilian award. And the name of the Brazilian president is also something which you can remember. Okay. Other than that, on the top, we have the update on the 12th June Boeing crash, where it says India is likely to make preliminary Air India 171 crash report public. Okay. Another news article is Center says it did not ask for Reuters account to be blocked as X slams censorship. Dassault denies its CEO made comment on Rafale loss during Operation Sindoor. Okay. And an interesting article which says the screen time for the average child is less than 5. For an average child who's less than 5, that is 5 years of age, would be 2.2 hours per day. So, for people following education news, this would be an interesting study to go with. We turn and go to the city page. Nothing seems to be very important from a national current affairs perspective. The third page, which is again a city page, again does not seem to have many news which could be relevant. The next city page is the no, there seems to be some news. Let's take a look at the headline. It says Gujarat sets sail on Cruise Bharat mission and proposes 3 circuits along the western coast. What is this? Okay, it says as part of the Union government's Cruise Bharat mission, Gujarat has proposed 3 cruise circuits along the western coast covering Diu, Veraval, Porbandar, Dwarka, Jamnagar, Okha and Padala Island alongside the operational Ghoga Hazira Ro-Pax, that is roll-on roll-off passenger service. Okay, interesting news as far as tourism is concerned. Who should be reading this particular news? Well, if you are a hotel management and the service industry aspirant, if you are preparing for national level entrance examinations like the NCHM right, the joint entrance exam conducted by the NTA, the National Testing Agency, for admissions into various hospitality courses and hotel management courses, then this is a news which I would definitely recommend that you read and you follow. Next, we come to the state page, Gujarat page, and a lot of crime related news. I'm not going to read up on that. The next page is the nation page, where this is keeping up with Prime Minister Modi's travel to various countries. It says Global South is priority for India and Brazil, says the Prime Minister. So India and Brazil have signed 6 agreements, including one on combating international terrorism and transnational crime, as PM Narendra Modi held a bilateral meeting with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in the capital Brasilia. Okay, so Brazil, the capital is Brasilia, right? This is a static GK thing, but a lot of students make the mistake of thinking Rio de Janeiro is the capital of Brazil. It's not, it's Brasilia, Brazil City. There is a big article, a big, I would say, write up. Australia leads in rooftop solar tech. We can boost India's green transition. So Philip Green, Australia's High Commissioner to India, spoke about the climate crisis and Australian responses. So that would be an interesting article to read for those who are related in sustainability, green energy, environment, and so on. Below that, we have an interesting thing where the Bihar government limits 35% women quota to states' permanent residents. So Bihar's Nitish Kumar-led NDA cabinet cleared Tuesday a proposal to restrict the 35% reservations in government jobs for women to the state's permanent residents, bringing in a domicile policy within the quota by closing access to non-residents. Okay, that would be relevant for that state. Okay, moving on to the next page, which is devoted to health. It says breakups and burnouts, can a bot be your new therapist? Excuse me. It says whether it's breakups or breakdowns, many Indians are turning to generative AI to discuss their mental health challenges. This newspaper asked three chatbots, at least the free versions, a question, and then asked a therapist to evaluate the responses. So these three bots were ChatGPT by OpenAI, Grok, I think that's from X, and Gemini, which I think is Google. And the expert opinion. So a senior psychotherapist and founder of Able Mind in Bangalore said the response from Grok is warmer, while Gemini and ChatGPT take a more direct tone. All three offer fairly appropriate suggestions, but they could benefit from refinement. Some tips come across as overly simplified or slightly patronizing. So, the patronizing tone is when somebody talks to you as if they are superior to you and you are intellectually lesser to them, or not as mature as they are. So, when somebody talks to you as if you are lesser to them, they are adopting a patronizing tone. So, Grok stands out by recommending therapy when things feel overwhelming, which helps define a clear threshold for seeking professional help, rather than framing therapy as just another lifestyle alternative like going for a walk. So, that seems to be very, very interesting. Okay, so I would definitely recommend students of psychology who are interested in counseling, who are interested in taking up psychology as a stream after school at college level, to go through this particular thing. It would be very, very interesting. Okay, the next nation page is not very interesting, just news regarding the brouhaha which is happening regarding the Bihar electoral rolls. It says the PIL, the public interest litigation in Supreme Court, supports the Election Commission's move on revision of Bihar electoral rolls. Then there is a big article on the government to choose house for Justice Verma's removal, and so on and so forth. Okay. The next two pages are full of classifieds and ads, so simply skip. Next, we come to the global page. Okay, so there is an update on the Israel-Palestine issue. It says Gaza truce can be reached, but may take more time, say Israeli officials. Okay, so this particular news is simply that Gaza truce may take can be reached, but may take more time, and that is the stand of the Israeli officials. Okay, so let's read it. It says Israeli officials said on Tuesday that gaps can be bridged between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas at peace talks in Qatar, though it may take more than a few days to reach a deal to free the hostages and halt fighting. Delegations from Israel and Hamas have been in Qatar since Sunday in a renewed push for an agreement, after US President Donald Trump said last week he had hoped that a new US backed proposal could lead to a deal. Interesting. Okay. Of course, then there's the update on the nomination of Trump for Nobel Prize. So, the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel on Tuesday released the letter in which he nominated President Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, citing his pivotal role in negotiating diplomatic relations between Israel and several Arab states in 2020. Of course, the opinion states the letter appears to be part of Netanyahu's attempt to cement ties with Trump. To cement ties with somebody is to try and strengthen your relations with somebody. Okay. Below that, we have update on Trump and Ukraine. Trump to send more weapons to Kyiv, says Moscow's assault leaves little choice. Okay. China wants US on tariffs, threatens retaliation on supply chain deals. Okay. So a lot of interesting things, updates on basically the Israel-Palestine conflict, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and of course the tariff wars and China's response to US. Next, we have a nation page where there is a big survey report which says over half of school kids struggle with basics, reveals a government survey. It says 54% of class 6 can't even read large numbers. And then there are a lot of data tables. So definitely I can use this data interpretation, this as a base for a data interpretation exercise. Okay. A very concerning news. It says FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, says component of the Pulwama IED, okay, explosive device, was ordered via Amazon. Ooh, that's pretty concerning. If you are able to order components for creating an explosive device through something as simple as an e-commerce website, then that should be pretty concerning. Okay, and there's an infographic on top. 900 plus runs in an innings. It has happened twice. Okay, so some test matches are all about the bat. Sri Lanka's 952 against India in 97 remains the highest ever. While many of these huge totals lead to draw, teams like India, England, and Australia have also succeeded in turning big scores into clear wins. That seems to be a pretty interesting thing for cricket fans, of course. Now we come to my favorite, the middle page with editorials and opinion pieces. The top says America's two-party trick. This is by Dan Casino, a professor of government and politics who teaches at the Fairleigh Dickinson University in US. It reads, Trump has called Musk's effort to launch a party in competition to Republicans and Democrats ridiculous. But the reason third parties fail in US is that rules and legislators are stacked against them. So obviously this is a reference to Elon Musk's fallout with US President Donald Trump and his call to create a third party in what is essentially a two-party system in the United States. Uh, and of course, this opinion can be read by those who are interested in US politics. Below that, we have a question and answer session uh, with V. Ram Gopal Rao, who is the Group Vice Chancellor of BITS Pilani campuses. It says innovation doesn't happen in silos. Our academic institutions must build structures that allow different minds to meet. So this should be a very interesting question and answer interview to be read by those who are interested in education sector. Moving on to the three pieces to the left. The first one is Talking Mumbai. Language chauvinism is a political strategy for BMC polls, but it can create dangerous social divisions. Okay. A very interesting word which was used in this particular article, which I'm going to put up, is the word chauvinism, right? So, chauvinism, uh, the most common usage has been the phrase male chauvinism. So when males believe they are superior and they carry that attitude, that is the chauvinism. So here it is referring to people believing that their language is the superior one. So that is the bias that they have in favor of their own language. That is chauvinism. So this article obviously refers to the language politics which are happening in Maharashtra. Below that, all the Gora buys. When tech-based welfare delivery fails, who helps India's digitally unlettered poor? Okay. Uh, it seems to be related to PME and Manrega. Technical faults in systems which are designed to help the underprivileged. So I think it relates to some problem which may have happened under PMAY rural schemes and related to the Manrega card. Below that, we have Jag Surya's second opinion column, Fear of Flying. The tragedy of AI 171 has raised an age-old specter in the sky. A specter is a ghost. Okay, so the last one obviously would be a light-hearted article. The first two interesting things to read. The next Times special page, cities and airports too close for comfort. This says a study puts 8 Indian airports among the world's top 50 most enclosed by urban sprawls. Mumbai tops the list while Ahmedabad, which saw one of India's worst aviation disasters last month, ranks 12th. Okay. So obviously airports require a lot of open space for takeoff and landing and to avoid bird hits and things like that. And with rising populations, with rising urbanization, it becomes more and more difficult to come up with airports which are at the same time away from such areas, but at the same time easily accessible to its flyers who would mostly be from urban areas. So in this survey, there are 8 airports. So Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport is at global rank 1. The Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International Airport from Kolkata at 5. Ahmedabad's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport at 12. Chennai International Airport from Chennai at 15th. The Indira Gandhi International Airport from Delhi at 22nd. Jagatguru Sant Tukaram Maharaj International Airport from Pune at 33rd. The Jayaprakash Narayan Airport from Patna at 35, and the Surat International Airport from Surat at 39. Okay, so this would be an interesting article to read both from the perspective of language and opinions. As we move on to the next page, this is a page devoted to text. The biggest thing is Java at 30. Why AI still needs human coders. Fluency in any language never harms a speaker, it merely broadens the stories that she can tell. So, when I talk to a lot of students, and especially when we are doing career counseling, one common question which seems to come up from the students is, of course, the effects of artificial intelligence and whether artificial intelligence is going to really take away the jobs. And one very popular question is which jobs are safe from being taken over by AI. So this article, I think, is going to allay those fears because obviously why artificial intelligence itself still needs human coders is going to answer that question. Okay. Below that, you have a few startup stories. You have a story about careers for women and something related to Made in India. So tech people who are interested in technology, artificial intelligence, startups and things would definitely read this entire page and all its articles with great amount of interest. Okay, the next business page, half a page, obviously to be read by people interested in economics, business, management and finance. Seems to have articles, but from a general current affairs perspective, nothing much. The next entire page is again business related. One is IPL business worth over $18 billion and rises 13% in a year, says a report. So business and sports. And then, okay, half the page is business, the bottom half is on sports, where you have something related to tennis. That's it. The next sports page, of course, is cricket related. Upbeat Bumrah goes through the paces. Star fast bowler gets into his stride as he prepares to return for Lord's Test for cricket aficionados. And the bottom is also cricket's American accent. Okay, America not very well known for cricket, but now with a large Desi diaspora there, it's going to be interesting. There's a talking point article about Indian aggressive batting, unusual pitches behind Duke balls getting soft faster. Okay, just one small article where wrestler Ritika fails dope test. Paris Games quarterfinalist is suspended by NADA and could be banned for 4 years. Oh, that's pretty sad news. Okay, and that's pretty much it. The last page is only an ad, nothing there. So again, today's news is dominated by updates related to the tariff issues that US is having with a lot of countries. A little bit of updates on US resuming sending weapons to Ukraine as an update to the Russia-Ukraine issue. About BRICS and European Union regarding the carbon border tax proposal, and of course updates on the Gaza issue, so on and so forth. So that's me for today. If you liked the content, do hit that like button, share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, then please do so. Leave comments below on what else would you like to be covered, what different issues we can talk about, what different perspectives I could bring to this. This is me, Sathya, signing off for today. Wish you all the very best and have a good day.